When we were first setting out, nearly all of the information we had was anecdotal. It was based on our experiences, the experiences of our friends and families. And we didn't want to make any assumptions or risk that those stories were leaving other people's experiences behind. So before doing anything, the first thing we did was engage a local research company to gain some information that we could really trust and rely on. Our goal was to get a really clear sense of how different groups of people were doing and the sort of things that they were experiencing and who they were turning to for support.
The fact that on top of the trauma of the earthquakes themselves, people were having to deal with some really challenging, ongoing secondary stressors, like broken or unsafe homes they couldn't live in, widespread roadworks, complex insurance claims and school closures, etc. Unsurprisingly, people reported feeling a huge range of emotions, and that can be overwhelming in itself. One repeatedly strong theme was definitely feeling tired a lot, just feeling over it. And we also discovered that people were experiencing a loss of trust in the authorities, those in charge of the recovery, and in fact their friends and family were their number one place of support.
So our initial plan was to launch with a campaign encouraging the simple things that we can do to feel good. But this research really shifted our thinking. So rather than place any extra demands on people, we focused on simply validating the wide range of emotions that we knew that people were feeling, and to reassure them that what they were experiencing was normal in a very abnormal circumstance, and remind them that they weren't alone.
Regular research has been vital in terms of understanding where people are at, and it's also enabled us to accurately investigate changes over time. For example, early on, Cantabrians were all deeply affected by the earthquakes themselves, but as time passed, we sensed that different parts of the community were experiencing different things, and there was a kind of fragmentation.
Statistics around the impact of unsettled claims for damaged homes were pretty compelling. We were able to show that those with ongoing insurance claims were doing worse than those who had finalised their claims and were progressing with their recovery or their repairs. They were feeling more tired, stressed, frustrated, and less secure. They also experienced more general health issues. So we reflected these findings publicly in order to encourage, empathy among Cantabrians for each other, a little bit of understanding. And we also shared them with organisations involved in the recovery to inform their work and their policies.
We were very aware that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. We therefore organised focus groups with some of the people we were keen to engage with more deeply, particularly Māori and Pacific and migrant communities.
One of the really big things that we had in mind was ensuring that people could see themselves in the campaign. So we began to use a lot more photography, including images of people together, to highlight the vital role that we know that whānau can play in well-being. And we also found ways to showcase some of the cultural components that can have a huge impact on people's well-being.
When it comes to research, our top tip is to be curious. Forget what you think you know and really listen to the wisdom of people. If you can't afford an independent researcher, just do what you can to find out how people are doing, whether that's by chatting with community leaders or creating your own surveys or talking to people you wouldn't normally talk to, just getting out there and asking questions. Because understanding where people are at will really enhance your work, and sharing your findings can be very helpful for people in itself, because people will then know that you've really listened to them and you really care.